the federal judge in the Sean Diddy Combs trial has just denied bail for Combs.
He told me to take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say?
Yeah, I thought he needed some clothes.
He doesn't even know what he's saying is like fruity.
What? I'm a nice guy.
Oh, that's a nice gesture.
Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, pause, but like that's how. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes.
The number of rappers probably running around in panic with this whole Diddy mess is wild right now. But the thing is, when you've got someone like 50 Cent in the mix who actually enjoys trolling and putting people on blast, especially when it comes to Diddy, they're bound to get exposed.
Well, I'm saying like, God, man,
good.
why is your homeboy so close to you when you come out of that? Look like you guys just made sweet love.
Diddy's trial. So Diddy just got denied bail yet again to the joy of many after what's been a roller coaster day in court. Earlier today, to the disappointment of a lot of people, the jury actually found Combs not guilty of S-tificking, which would have carried a mandatory 15-year minimum sentence to life and also cleared him of running a criminal enterprise.
He has been found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy RICO, not guilty. He's also been found not guilty of Cassandra Ventura.
Off that big win, his lawyer pushed for Diddy to be released on conditions, offering up a $1 million bond and requesting that he be allowed to go home to Miami. For a moment, it seemed like it might happen, but thankfully, at least in the eyes of many, the judge shut that down, saying Diddy has a clear propensity for violence that tends to happen behind closed doors. So, no bail granted.
News: the judge in the Sean Diddy Combs trial has just rather shockingly denied him bail.
Diddy, who had been all smiles after beating those major charges, instantly looked deflated the second the judge delivered that decision. Now prosecutors are pushing for him to be sentenced to 51 to 63 months behind bars, while his legal team is gunning for a lighter sentence, somewhere between 21 to 27 months. All of this is setting off major debates online. People are saying that if the prosecutors get their way, Diddy might actually start naming names in hopes of cutting down his time. And of course, fans are watching every move, with 50 Cent front and center as usual. Everybody knows how dedicated 50 has been to staying on Diddy's neck. When Diddy got acquitted of that RICO charge, you can bet 50 was ready. He wasted no time trolling, posting what looked like an AI-generated image of him grinning ear to ear and throwing in a slick comment and comparing Combs to the late mob boss John Gotti. Diddy beat the RICO, that boy bad man, 50 captioned the post, clearly referring to the RICO charge and keeping his foot on the gas as always. But before Diddy eventually spills the tea, a few names have already been floating around, rappers who might most likely go down with him. The Game. First on that list is The Game, because despite all the scandals surrounding Diddy, The Game has kept saying he's been around Diddy millions of times and never saw anything shady.
I've been around Puff for millions of times, and I ain't never seen, none of that people are talking about, but that's just my experience. Outside of the Cassie situation, which, I think they settled that, right? So he had that.
Oh, he settled it quick.
Right, so that means that he owned up to whatever it was that they had.
At first glance, it might seem like he's just being loyal, but considering Diddy's long history of controversy, that kind of defense starts to feel a little suspicious. What really makes people raise their eyebrows is that The Game has been aware of the rumors from Diddy, yet he still goes out of his way to defend him. So it's no surprise that some fans think there might be more to it than just friendship.
I think that there are several rappers that are in the closet and gay. And see, those are the type of gay people the only type of gay people I have a problem with.
One of the strangest rumors floating around is that Diddy took The Game shopping multiple times. Now that might sound harmless on the surface, but in industry slang, that phrase can carry a whole other meaning. Some people have even speculated that Diddy might have some kind of dirt or compromising info on The Game, which could explain his oddly strong loyalty. According to The Game himself, he rolled with Diddy for 2 years, but not once did Diddy take him to the studio to record. Even when The Game handed over his demo tapes, Diddy would shut it down and instead take him out partying and shopping.
I ran around with Diddy for 2 years, and this Diddy, we never went to the studio one time, but he was like, yo, I fuck with your demo, bad boy, but hey, Playboy, hey, here go a watch, Playboy, here go a chain, Playboy. I'm like, yo, we ever gonna rap?
He said Diddy bought him Rolex watches, gold chains, and all kinds of expensive gifts. Meanwhile, The Game kept pushing to get in the studio, but instead, Diddy just flew him around the country to hang out and chill. For 2 whole years, they never made a single track together. That left fans scratching their heads, especially since rumors back then claimed The Game was trying to sign to Bad Boy. People expected a powerhouse collab. The Game was hot and Diddy was one of the top producers, but nothing ever came of it. which made people wonder what Diddy's real intentions were. Over the years, Diddy has been tied to a lot of questionable situations, including accusations of using young artists for his own benefit. So when you add all that up with the game's constant defense, it really starts to feel like there's something more going on. Meek Mill. Next up on that list is Meek Mill. One of the biggest reasons his name keeps popping up is because all the speculation tying him to Rodney Lil Rod Jones' explosive lawsuit against Diddy. Now, to be fair, the lawsuit doesn't name Meek directly, but it does mention an unnamed rapper who was allegedly seen on Diddy's yacht during some shady activities, reportedly involving UH girls and S-workers. That alone was enough to get people talking and throwing Meek's name into the mix. But honestly, long before that lawsuit even made the headlines, there was already a bit of chatter surrounding Meek and Diddy's so-called friendship. There's this one clip that's been floating around for a while and it had fans raising eyebrows for sure. In the video, Meek's just chilling in the pool, vibing and minding his business. Then Diddy slides in with this energy that caught people off guard. He congratulates Meek, but it came off a little more intimate than you'd expect from a casual poolside chat. Meek says something about just enjoying life, and Diddy hits him with, "You deserve it, daddy. You putting in that work." And of course, it's that daddy part that had fans side-eyeing the whole vibe. That one word sparked endless debates online.
Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you.
And it didn't stop there. In a separate video that later went viral, Meek's performing on stage and Diddy's in the crowd. There's this moment where Meek drops a certain lyric, and Diddy snaps his head so fast it was like he got hit with a wave of memories or something right then and there. It had people wondering what was really going on between them. Now, to Meek's credit, he's been super vocal trying to shut down all the rumors about him being gay. The man was practically living on Twitter for a solid week, tweeting nonstop about how much he loves women. But here's the thing, despite all that, he never actually came out and denied the whole buzz about being Diddy's so-called boy toy. That silence on that specific topic, it just kept the rumors alive. Ja Rule. Then there's Ja Rule. Now, one of the main reasons Ja's name keeps coming up in all this is because of a wild story Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, shared some years back. According to Gene, there was this time when Diddy had just bought a bunch of toys and then he and a famous rapper went into a hotel room together. Gene's job was to guard the door, keep things tight. But while he's standing watch, this random guy shows up looking for his cousin. And guess who that cousin was? Ja Rule. Gene tells the dude straight up that Ja's in the room with Puff and doesn't want to be disturbed, but the guy's not trying to hear it. He keeps pushing, trying to get through, so Gene ends up having to rough him up a little just to calm him down and make him back off.
So I opened the door, and the dude said, "Yo, I'm here for my cousin." I said, "Who your cousin?" And he said, Ja Rule.
Not too long after that whole scene, Gene says both Diddy and Ja Rule finally come out of the room, and here's the part that really got people talking. They're both just wrapped in towels, and according to Gene, they didn't have anything underneath. The whole vibe felt off, like something had definitely gone down in that room.
When I threw him into the piano, Puff and Ja Rule runs out the room. Puff got his towel, Ja grabbing his towel, but they naked.
But honestly, even before Gene Deal dropped that story, people had already been side-eyeing Ja because of something that went down during his beef with DMX. See, when X and Ja were going at it heavy, DMX was speaking on what he believed was really happening behind the scenes in the music industry. He started talking about how certain label execs were doing grimy things with artists and how some artists were willing to compromise themselves just to get ahead.
Hey, what's going down with the industry, dog?
The industry is full of a bunch of sucking, riding, bending over the desk straight up like that. Whoever don't like it, bring it. Bring it. I don't give a bring it.
Well, the industry is full of homo.
One of the moments that really fueled the rumors was when DMX dropped that verse in Where the Hood At. Last I heard, y'all dudes was having S with the same mess. I show no love to homo thugs. That bar had people going crazy because everyone started putting two and two together, thinking X was taking shots at certain rappers. And Ja Rule's name was one of those that kept coming up in those conversations because during an interview, DMX shared what many believe was the real reason he was going after Ja Rule. He claimed that Ja was involved with men, hinting that he might be gay.
You know he be too, right?
No.
Yeah, man, some nigga that was styling his clothes and I got the inside information, man. Some nigga that was styling his clothes for one of them shows, got him ecstasy that one night and f***ed him. Man, Ja Rule was I'm telling you, dog. Oh, my mama. Oh, my mama.
So when you add DMX's accusations to Gene Deal's story, plus everything else that's been whispered in the streets over the years, the picture starts looking real messy for Ja. Usher. And then we get to Usher. For Usher, there's been this theory floating around for years that he was actually one of the victims caught up in Diddy's alleged freaky lifestyle, and that maybe it's part of what pushed him down some of the darker paths he's been rumored to have gone through. One clip people always bring up is that awkward moment that went viral when Diddy and Kevin Hart are hanging out, cracking jokes, and then Usher pops up. The whole energy shifts. Diddy almost lets it slip that he and Usher might have shared a bed at some point. The way Kevin Hart reacts, priceless, like he didn't even know what to do with that information.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like, check this out. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes, you know?
And then there was that weird moment last year when Diddy's legal drama was at its peak. Out of nowhere, Usher deletes his entire Twitter account, just wiped it clean. That move sent fans into a frenzy, with a lot of people speculating it had something to do with Diddy. Maybe he was trying to avoid old tweets coming back to haunt him or distance himself from the situation entirely. But then Usher came back online claiming his account has been hacked. He tweeted, "Account got hacked and damn y'all ran with it." But of course, almost nobody is buying that explanation. The general consensus is that if hackers had really taken control, they'd be promoting themselves or posting random, ridiculous things, not going through and specifically deleting comments related to Diddy. This has only led people to believe that Usher is already being investigated, and his digital cleanup could be tied to Diddy's infamous freak-offs. And of course, we can't forget the biggest piece of the puzzle, the whole Flavor Camp drama. In case it slipped your mind, back in the 90s, Diddy ran this thing called Puffy Flavor Camp. It was basically a deal for young up-and-coming stars to get some mentorship from him, and the stories these celebs spill about their time in Puffy Flavor Camp are jaw-dropping. One of the kids who got a taste of this flavor camp was Usher. Usher was said to be an R&B sensation from a super young age. He spilled the beans in 2016, telling Howard that he really got a grip on what being famous meant after spending a year living with Puff Daddy when he was just 14. "I got a chance to see some things. I went there to see the lifestyle and I saw it," Usher said during his first Stern Show interview.
And I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called.
But hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at.
So Usher's one-of-a-kind learning experience, known as Puffy Flavor Camp, happened because young Usher wowed music bigwig L.A. Reid with his musical skills. Next thing you know, he's jetting off to New York to crash with Puffy during the golden era of Bad Boy Records, all in the name of getting the real deal scoop on making it big in the music scene. "It was pretty wild, it was crazy," Usher said, while rattling off some of the biggest names in hip-hop who were a constant presence at Puffy's house, including Notorious B.I.G., Lil' Kim, Faith Evans, Mary J. Blige, and Craig Mack. "I was like the little brother. They called me Baby Boo," Usher spilled. But Howard was curious if there was any ground rules for him since, he was just a kid. "He wasn't disciplinary. He was letting me be a young man," Usher shared with Howard. Even though he wasn't hitting the books in a regular school, they had a tutor around. And about that cash flow, Usher said he got a per diem, but just enough to keep him out of too much mischief. When asked if he'd send his kids to Diddy camp, he was like, "Hell no." So you can imagine just how messy things must have been.
What a life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
See?
Maybe this is why some say that could explain why Usher ended up following in Diddy's footsteps. For instance, who could forget the herpes scandal that made headlines back in 2017? The scandal involved Usher being accused of knowingly transmitting herpes to 2 women and a man.
According to a man, he's saying that Usher gave him herpes.
One of the women, Quantasia Sharpton, filed a lawsuit against Usher, claiming that he had S with her on her 19th birthday without disclosing his condition. Sharpton, a longtime fan of Usher, said her friends took her to one of his concerts to celebrate her birthday. According to her, she was chosen from the crowd to go backstage because of the birthday crown she was wearing. What happened next is where things took a turn. Sharpton claimed that after the concert, she received a call from Usher, and they made plans to meet up later at her hotel room.
Remember, there were 3 other people that sued Usher for exposing them to herpes. Quantasia Sharpton. There's Quantasia.
She alleged that Usher came over and they had S contact, but afterward, she never heard from him again. It wasn't until later that Sharpton discovered Usher might have herpes, an incurable S-transmitted disease. Things escalated when documents from 2012 surfaced online, revealing that Usher had admitted in court to having herpes and settled a previous case regarding the matter, which had been kept under wraps until the documents were leaked. This shocking revelation prompted Sharpton to file her lawsuit. Although the case was eventually settled settled out of court, the scandal left a permanent mark on Usher's reputation, with many fans struggling to believe that he could have been involved in such a situation. Then there's even speculation of how both Usher and Diddy played a role in G-ing Justin Bieber. So last year, Justin Bieber started making headlines again after Cassie's lawsuit came out, and that lawsuit really started unraveling some dark stuff about Diddy. Initially, it seemed like maybe people were overreacting about how toxic things could have been for Justin around Diddy, but now with this all new info, it's hard to deny that something really sketchy was going on. According to sources, the downward spiral for Justin probably started after he spent those infamous 48 hours with Diddy. Remember that footage where Diddy's promising Justin a Lamborghini and a house during their staycation? Now that we know more about Diddy, that video just gives people the creeps. It's hard to watch without imagining what Justin had to endure under the guise of Diddy's mentorship. And yes, Diddy did end up giving Justin that Lamborghini. Like, as soon as Justin got his driver's license, he was seen driving a Lambo that looked just like the one Diddy talked about giving him. If Diddy didn't give it to him, then that's one heck of a coincidence, right? But here's the thing, why would Diddy give such an extravagant gift to a young artist out of the blue? A lot of folks think Diddy was playing the role of a sugar daddy, lavishing expensive gifts on Justin in return for some favors.
Yeah, the keys is yours when you get 16. You good to go.
I'm good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Then, when you get 18, you get the house. You get the mansion.
Okay, I get the mansion?
Yeah. But for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
We're going crazy.
Crazy.
Now, just to give you a bit more background, Justin met Usher pretty much right after he moved to Atlanta with Scooter Braun, and he was only 13 then. Justin's mom, Patty Millette, was really hoping her son would find some genuine good people in the music business. When Usher and Scooter Braun came into the picture, she thought they might be the answer to her prayers. Unfortunately, as things unfolded, it turned out they weren't the guardians she hoped they would be. As time went on, Usher introduced Justin to Diddy, and that's when things really started to spiral. This wasn't just a new friendship, it was the beginning of a steep slide into some really dark places for Justin. If the rumors are to be believed, Diddy quickly took Justin Bieber under his wing, but not just for guidance, it seems it was more in the style he reportedly treated Usher when he was young. Gene Deal also chimed on this, saying that Usher's experience was way darker than most people realize. He hinted that Usher might have gone through similar ordeals that Cassie endured with Diddy, even suggesting that it got so bad at one point that Usher ended up in the hospital.
I know, and people know, that was around that in that time, Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital.
And it doesn't stop there. Gene Deal also spilled the beans on something he called an S-cult that Diddy was supposedly running, which he said included both Usher and Justin. The stuff he described about this group was downright disturbing. Dean brought up something pretty intense about Usher, suggesting he might have a trauma bond with Diddy due to some pretty heavy stuff that went down between them. This idea isn't far-fetched when you look at how Usher talks about Diddy. It's like he's always treading lightly, picking his words super carefully to avoid letting something slip that might stir up more rumors or controversy. So with Diddy's situation heating up, folks are saying it's only a matter of time before Diddy starts talking. Because if spilling the tea helps him shave some years off his sentence, people believe he won't hesitate to do it. And if that happens, a whole lot of names that have been floating under the radar might suddenly find themselves in the spotlight.